Hey there folks, today I'd like to take a casual peek into my response to Garhoch's special 100 subscribers video. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Garhoch, for reaching 100 subs. I think that's a great accomplishment, and you certainly deserve a lot more. And hopefully we'll see a lot more videos of your collection. They're really great and informative. Thanks, Garhoch, and hang loose there. And at the end of Garhoch's video, he asked his subscribers, he wanted to know what got you into comics, or what got you back into comics, basically your comics history, or action figures, or what have you. And I decided to do my response on comics. I may do another video on action figures at another time, but we'll go ahead and do one on my comics history. And actually my first memory of actually having a comic book and reading a comic book was when I was either 7 or 8 years old. I was very sick in bed, didn't go to school that day, and was not feeling very well at all. And my dad, after coming home from work, I guess he had dropped by the local store, and he had bought me a comic and gave it to me. Hopefully it'd make me feel better. And I thought it did. I thought it was a great thing that my dad did. And he gave me a comic, detective issue, or Detective Comics number 467. This is not the original comic, but actually this took me 20 years to find this comic, just based off the memory of the cover. And this comic was two stories, actually. The main story was of Batman tracking down an impersonator. He tracked him down into the subway systems, and it was an excellent story. It focused on Batman's detective skills as opposed to his superheroics, and I really liked that story. And the second story involved the Calculator. This was the very early appearance of the Calculator in his goofy setup, and that's actually a figure I want to get. I want Mattel to make, is the Calculator in his original costume, because that'd be a really great costume. And that second story involved him fighting Hawkman. But this is my first memory of actually having a comic book. I actually did not start collecting comics and reading comics seriously until the summer of 1982. I was out of school during the summer break, and me, my sisters, and my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom at the time, we would take our bikes and go bike riding, and we would go down to the local grocery store, which was Lucky's. And with my own money, the meager amount of money that I had, I went through the spinner racks of the comic books, and I found this issue of Thor number 323. And this is also not the original comic, but this comic got me hooked into collecting and reading comics. Funny enough, this Thor issue was just a basic filler issue, and the guest artist was Greg Garhoch. Yeah, he actually did comics back in the early 80s, and his art style really hooked me. And we went back several times throughout the summer, and I picked up other comics. Like the Brave and the Bold, Batman with great Jim Aparo art. Oh, I love Jim Aparo's Batman style. And I also picked up Hercules, Bob Layton's miniseries, and that's when I really started collecting comics. And when I got back to school in the fall, I ran into a fellow student by the name of Wei and Mao. hopefully you're still out there and doing well. I haven't seen Wei Yan since middle school, and again, I hope you're doing well. And he introduced me into the direct comic market, and I at that time I didn't even know that there were stores just devoted to comic books. And when he told me about it, I didn't believe him at first. I didn't think a store would just sell comics, but he eventually convinced me that they did exist, and he actually he actually loaned me several comics, and also he introduced me into the X-Men. And after finding about comic book stores, one time, I think it was another summer, that I had asked my parents to drive us to a comic book store. And my first experience entering that store, the store was called Comics and Comics, and I was blown away. I just could not believe how many comics were in that store. And through the comic book store, I was introduced to the back issue market, and through back issues, I discovered a lot of X-Men. And this one involved the Brood, and obviously a Alien ripoff, just for the early 80s. And also introduced me to X-Men 141 and 142, which is the Days of Future Past storyline. And this is what really got me into the X-Men. I became an X-Men nut through back issues, and through John Byrne, his art style. It was just fantastic. Unfortunately, he stopped shortly after these issues, but following the X-Men into the later 80s is with John Romita Jr. and the early 200s issue, or just prior to the 200s issue, and all the way up to the Mutant Massacre. I was really a follower of the X-Men. And I actually took a break from comics in the 90s. I thought I had outgrown the hobby. I would collect a comic here or there during the 90s, but not as much as I did in the 80s. But one of the comics I did pick up during the mid-90s was Nightwing. I did not know that Dick Grayson had pretty much grown up and was attempting to become a hero in his own right. And since picking up Nightwing, Nightwing's become my favorite superhero. And this also began my shift of comics from Marvel to DC. Into the 2000s to the mid-2005s, I was a serious DC Marvel reader, or DC comic reader, and especially into the Infinite Crisis and the 52 series, especially the 52 series. I really loved the 52 series, because it did, on a weekly basis, focus its story on the other characters in the DC universe, which was really great. And I took a break, another break, just a couple years ago, and actually started discovering the superhero action figure. But I may get back into comics. I wouldn't be surprised. That's just the way my hobbies go. They're pretty casual. They come and go. So I'll eventually get back into the comic book reading hobby. But right now, my focus is on the superhero action figures. But that's it pretty much for my comic reading and collecting hobby. Thanks, Garhoch, for posing that question to us. I thought that was an interesting question. And hopefully we'll see a lot more videos of your collection. I really like your collection. Watching videos of you describing your collection, it's really great, especially going into the backstories of the figures and the characters. But this is my casual peek into my response to Garhoch's special 100 subscribers video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.